Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r// Tales from Tech Support. In today's episode, BLACKHAT SYSADMIN when my paycheck is on the line. Part 3. BLACKHAT SYSADMIN when my paycheck is on the line. Part 4. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. BLACKHAT SYSADMIN when my paycheck is on the line. Part 3. So, first of all, let me say thank you to everyone reading what I've written. It's been a very cathartic experience sharing this all. And now, here comes the good stuff. This ended up being a lot longer than I was expected. I decided I really wanted to enjoy the technical details while there were still technical details to enjoy, and I hope you all enjoy them too. While I was expecting to get into politics here, I ended up with a nearly 21K file size by the point I was done with the first real demo, and I feel good that I went that technical with it. I hope all of you enjoy the build-up and the bombshell at the end of this post. Don't worry, the story isn't over yet. I've wanted to share this for a long time, and honestly only wrote up a full timeline of all the sh*t that hit the fan a few months ago for my lawyer. This is one of several tales. Part 1 is here, Part 2 is here, and after this there is Part 4 here, which combined all culminated in me leaving the job where I felt most at home of any place I have ever worked so far in the finale. Kel_Naranek, I'm the company and PAYCHECK guy specializing in the dark arts. I earned the hat I wear. See my other stories here. CFO, a true expert at violating the DFIU, don't FSCK it up, rule with skin made of Teflon. Owner, a rather technically skilled guy, though he's terrible with people. We get along, for the most part. Government_guy, a master of the Finnish business and government handshake process. He has more connections than a neural network, but feels more like a slime mold the more you deal with him. Vendor_manager, I think he said the word hello in English, that was about it. Most of the external, government, managers and techs I deal with are, for the most part, interchangeable, so I will just number them as they come up. Competent_coworker, the name says it all. While not working in a technical position, she has an amazing eye for details and sucks up knowledge like a sponge. She also is fluent in more languages than my university C++ teacher had fingers. When my last tale ended, I was anxiously awaiting a meeting on Friday morning to demonstrate just what I had found, so far, to someone in both the Finnish government as well as the representative from the vendor. Friday morning I'm in the office by 7 a.m., couldn't sleep, and proceed to drink far too much coffee and set up for my demo. I move my workstation to a meeting room I've reserved for the entire day, repatch the network for that room so it goes directly into my private connections to the server room, no switches. I don't want anyone else man in the middle, and lock the room once my machines are in place, and of course lock themselves. 9:45 comes and government_guy gets a visitor, a manager from government agency number 1, as I will call it. Government_agency 1_manager and government_guy have clearly known each other and worked together for years, and are happily chatting along at the coffee machine with me, waiting for the rep from vendor. 10:30 and still no sign of them, so government_guy starts calling. No one answers. We wait a while longer and talk geopolitics and my background with cybersecurity, until about 11, when government_guy declares that vendor has clearly decided to not show up, so would government_agency 1_manager like to see what we were planning to show both of them. Of course, he is interested, so government_guy gets the CFO to join, and I go through my demo, showing the %money %client, drawing a diagram of my network architecture on the whiteboard, and walking government_agency 1_manager through what I found. He's clearly over his head, and at the end I am asked to leave the room and wait in the hall. I lock my machines, then spend almost an hour sitting in the hall, until the door opens and CFO walks back to his office, followed by government_guy calling me back in. I'm thanked for the demo and asked to write a brief description of the type of vulnerabilities I found, which took all of 1 minute to do, and then promised there will be follow-up. On Monday afternoon government_guy calls my phone, It seems that government_agency1_manager was very impressed with my demo, and government_agency1 has officially contacted vendor to inform them that the issues I presented were serious enough. The agency is going to open an official case on the matter and will be evaluating what actions the agency should take towards vendor. Suddenly vendor is a lot more interested in my demo, and has tried a half-dozen times to call government_guy, who wanted to make sure that if there are any phone calls for me from numbers I do not know, I should not answer them, same with any phone calls forwarded to me by the company switchboard. This continues until Wednesday, when government_guy schedules a meeting with me. I was a bit surprised to have a meeting scheduled by government_guy. Until this point he hadn't personally demonstrated the competency level required to find the calendar tab in Outlook. I can see the meeting has other attendees, but it is set up in such a way I couldn't see who they were, which was strange, as I'm admin. One quick debug log check later, and I know that the CFO and company owner are the other attendees. Why this was hidden, I still don't know. So Wednesday comes around, and I go to the meeting. The owner and CFO are already there. Government_guy comes in a bit late, and explains that we are all here to just listen, and should not say a word, as he is going to call the manager at vendor back. He has me connect his phone to the speakerphone system in the room and calls. The entire conversation ends up being in Finnish, so I only get a summary of the 15-minute phone call afterwards. Seems the person at vendor who was called is the product owner 4% money percent, and has had everyone from C-levels on down harassing him for blowing off the meeting the previous week. He wanted to come immediately to resolve this issue, or rather, to correct our understanding of the issue, as he has gone to the development team, and they've re-reviewed my findings, and are 100% certain that we are making false claims. Furthermore, he lets us know that the legal team at vendor is looking at targeting my employer with legal action for making those false claims to a government agency and harming their company reputation, and unless we agree to retract everything in writing once he comes and shows us how wrong we are, my employer will be facing a lawsuit. Obviously, the CFO is freaking out over this. How could I dare say something to someone who works for a government agency without approval from the company board? I believe my response was I would bet my career on the accuracy of everything I said. The company owner, a very technical guy, looks at me and says something along the lines of "You just did, but I think you are right based on what you showed before." Government_guy said he was quite busy and agreed to meet only in 2 weeks' time. So he bought you 2 weeks to find and document not only what you have done so far, but everything you can possibly find in that time. Use whatever resources you need for the demonstration. I thank them, and go to my room for a while to figure out just what the $CK have I gotten myself into. I really would bet my career on this program being insecure. It looks like all the protection is purely in the front end, so I clearly need to either get directly into the back end, or I need to actually figure out everything going on in the front end and how to use it. First of all, since the back end is a database, I need to know the database schema. I combine all my packet captures into one file, then copy as text all the SQL connections into a Notepad++ document. I then search for all the select statements to find a list of every table name that has been accessed, and get all the column names from the responses. I then turn this into a word list to get translated by competent_coworker, and take it to her as top priority. She's curious just what is going on, and points out she'll likely need some context to be sure she's giving me the right translation, so I fill her in. It turns out she actually works the money percent directly herself, and does most of the owner's financial transactions in it for him, so she is quite confident in her ability to get what I need before she goes home for the day. I assured her it was a long list, and it would be fine if I didn't have it that day, but she managed to translate some 800 column and table names for me before she went home, and sent them back as a nice CSV file saying, "I thought you might find this format more useful for scripting." While competent_coworker was working on translations, I decided I needed more powerful scripts. I modified my EtherCap scripts as a starting point, and made them able to print out and record every table they see, so I'd at least have a nice presentation of the information I was working with. I knew I'd be getting a file with translations for column and table names, so I did some work to allow me to have it swap those as variables using a simple hash of hashes in Perl, so I could display everything as either Finnish or English. Next, I got to work planning how to improve my demonstration. While I didn't know what types of exploits I would be able to do, I did know what sort of visualization I had now, and you had to be pretty technical to follow along. I spent a while thinking and settled on the following. Laptop with %money %client dash display of client-side Wireshark and SQL messages dash display of my EtherCap script console dash display of server-side Wireshark and SQL messages dash network cable going to server. I know it was a bit much, but I decided, if I'm making a demo for everyone, having the 4 screens, laptop plus 2 separate live Wireshark and consoles, will make it a lot easier to see the message alterations in real time. When I came in the next day, I discovered all the translations from competent_coworker, and was able to easily import them. I then added a second graphics card to my desktop, and stole a couple of spare 24 monitors from the IT storage, and set up my system. I specifically had the Wireshark and terminal windows showing the SQL messages on a vertical screen, packet capture above, SQL below, and designed the system so that, depending on if the client of server message is being edited, it would show the differing parts of the message in different colors on each monitor. Wireshark wasn't so nicely customized, just a filter rule to restrict to only the %money %client traffic on each network interface. The final result was, when I tampered with, say, the set account as locked message, the screen on the left would show the client Wireshark stream, and below it a console read client sent message, update table accounts, tillit, set locked, key any, equals 1 with the 1 highlighted with a green background, and the screen on the right would show the same, but with it being equals 0 in red. Of course, you can check the Wireshark live captures above, and it looked nice and technical for mangers/C levels. I also started polishing my EtherCap scripts with a nice Perl menu for which one to call, so that I'd be running a simple interactive program in the center, which would update the other screens and selecting from the list of exploits/demos I had, instead of just calling things on the command line. So, back to what you've been waiting for. With all the display work done, I got back to business, aided by translations of what I was working with. I went to the owner and got his okay to create accounts with all different levels of permissions and move money between some of the company accounts, just 5e from one account to the next, etc., and schedule transfers between accounts, and to pull transaction records and every other feature of the software that competent_coworker was aware of. With her help, we did that, with Wireshark running constantly, and her giving me translations on the fly for various tables and columns I had not seen before. As we were doing this, some of the terms that showed up were huge red flag, with her translating things to, for example, bank private RSA key, bank online portal URL, username, password, and best of all pre-prepared table view call. While you might think the keys were the most interesting, and trust me, they were interesting, we ended up spending an entire day piecing together just what those pre-prepared views were, and it was so worth it. As it turns out, %money % was used not just to move money around, but also to audit the movements of money. That's right, every 3 months when our external auditors came in, all they did was work with the views %money % offered to cross-check our accounts for any discrepancies. And %money % was also the main, if not the only front-end used by the financial team for managing all the company accounts. Best of all the account balances, transaction histories, etc. were all generated not directly by SQL calls, but instead by calls to pre-prepared views, which could be edited. While it took me a long time to find a SQL call to create or change them, because I had no real functional client, just this MITM system, I was eventually able to create scripts that could edit these. So now I'm sure you are thinking, when are we going to get to the good stuff? The answer, right now. Monday comes around, and it is time. Again, the meeting room is reserved for the whole day, and I drag my now much larger demo setup in there and patch directly in. This time vendor_manager shows up promptly at 9:55, and the same government_agency1_manager shows up as well as government_agency1_tech. After all the introductions are done, vendor_manager gives what feels like a 5-minute sales pitch about their security in Finnish, which I pick up a few words of, but overall fail to parse about as badly as I suspect he would fail to parse the Wireshark packet captures he is about to see. Once that is done, government_guy asks them all to come around to the side of the table I have my setup facing, the laptop and desktop with all 3 monitors, and see just what I have to show. I explain the setup, show them a normal / untampered with login, and that it is completely unencrypted and visible in Wireshark, as well as nicely documented on each screen below the Wireshark window with my own tool showing the SQL messages sent on login, and based on the feedback we received from vendor about their confidence in my discovery, I took some time to expand upon my previous research, and have some more discoveries to show. Government_guy is just smiling from ear to ear. Government_agency1_manager just sits back at the table and enjoys his coffee, while government_agency1_tech and vendor_manager lean in next to me to better watch the screens. First of all, I demonstrate a normal account lockout, then select my script to change from lockout to unlocking the account. Hard-coded admin and account lockout removal / bypass, as simple as changing a 1 to a 0 in a SQL update. Second, I do the password change from my named user account with invoice submission permissions only, and change the CFO's account password. I even let vendor_manager type whatever he wanted as a password on the laptop so he could know for sure this wasn't staged. I then log in as the CFO with the password he typed. Account hijack. Next I log out, and change the password back using my account, showing quite clearly the change of the password hash each way. At this point vendor_manager is looking rather pale. Stealth account hijack complete. Now for my new discoveries. I log back in with my unprivileged account with a different EtherCap rule activated, and suddenly my unprivileged account has the same permissions as the CFO. That's right, all user restrictions are client side. Privilege elevation. I then go to the pending transactions, and pick a nice €1.3 million transfer from the list. It's a loan repayment, and a very sizable one at that, created by CFO and authorized by owner. I then edit it. Note, I am logged in as Kel here, and change the account number it is being paid to match my personal account. Of course, the system records that the change was created by me, or that was what was expected. Only when I refresh the page, it shows the change was created by the owner. I then click Authorize, which is available as I didn't create the change, but have authorization rights, and refresh. Oh wait, the change now shows it was authorized by financial_peon, low-level user who certainly wouldn't have this authority. At this point vendor_manager is white as a sheet as I explain, for the benefit of government_agency1 people and government_guy, that I just falsified the creation and authorization records for a €1.3 million payment, both from my account which has permission to do neither of those tasks. Transaction fraud complete with record falsification. But, of course, you can't just make €1.3 million disappear, and no one would notice it. Or can you? At this point I log out and log into Kel2. I explain I'm doing this not on a pending transaction, but a real-time transaction now, and this has been specifically pre-approved with written authorization by CFO and owner, including notices to the bank because of the nature of what I am about to do. I pull up and make a PDF of the last 7 days of transactions and current account balance of one of my company's accounts at Banca and Bank B. I then create a €50K transaction that appears to be created by CFO, from account A to account B. I then approve it, having it be approved as owner. I refresh the bank balances, and you see the money vanish from account A, and a minute or so later appear in account B. Next I go to the Account Management tab, and click New Account on each bank, but then cancel the form. I explain that simply opening the form causes the destruction and recreation of the prepare statements used for account balances with that bank. I then refresh the balances again, and that transaction no longer shows. Furthermore, the money appears to be back in account A. I explain that, because the software not only does not query the bank for actual transaction data, but instead only queries for new transactions. Since the last transaction, I can hide transactions by either removing them from the SQL database or, as I chose to do in this case, I simply remove the transaction from the prepared statement by specifically excluding it. In addition, because the balance is not the real account balance in the bank, but the balance the software totals to, I can simply change how the balance is calculated to re-add the money I took out, hiding all traces of any financial transaction I want from the software. Furthermore, I suspect my employer's practice of keeping 3 months of operating expenses in the account used for salary payments is rather normal. As an attacker, I can easily see all the balance records for all time, and can easily say, for example, that account C never goes below, say, €250k. This means I could steal the €250k, hide the transaction using this vulnerability, and my theft might go undetected not for days or weeks, but possibly for months or years if the auditors make the mistake of trusting %money %, gross nearly undetectable financial fraud. And it gets worse still. At this point government_guy looks like he should be rolling on the floor laughing, he's so pleased with himself. Vendor_manager looks like he will either faint or be sick. I log out of the system as Kel2, and pull up the final script in my setup. All it does is simply highlight one piece of data and decode it. I then log in as Kel, with nothing else going. The script runs and the screen starts flashing. What you see before you is not tampered with in any way. Any user with permissions to submit invoices, which is the minimum permissions in the system so all users have it, has the following data included in the SQL that is sent to their client on login. That is a SQL statement which is showing you all of the company bank account numbers and matching bank IDs, as well as the private long-lived RSA keys, as well as usernames and passwords for those accounts. This is all the information needed to perform any financial transaction, as my employer with the right software, from anywhere in the world. Furthermore, as you can see here on the middle screen, those RSA keys and certificates expire, but of the ones here on screen, the soonest to expire will expire in 7 months, and one has over 3 years of validity left. That means anyone who has one-time access to %money %, or can get a copy of the traffic any user of %money % sends on the network has the information needed to not only view, but also perform fraudulent transactions potentially years later. Game over. Everyone but the companies using %money % can win. So government_guy, do you think I've demonstrated the security issues clearly enough? This feels like a natural place to leave it for now. I hope it won't be as long as the break between this tale and the last before the next one, which you can now read here. BLACKHAT SYSADMIN when my paycheck is on the line. Part 4. This tale is a continuation of BLACKHAT SYSADMIN, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, and finally, the finale. Here we get from the technical into the political. It doesn't have a happy ending, but if you are only here for the technical, and don't want to read the politics, I did put a nice break in the middle where the nature of the event changes. This also is now a 5-part story, because I have crossed over the maximum post size while writing this post, so I had to find someplace nice to break it apart. Kel_Naranek, I'm the company and PAYCHECK guy, specializing in the dark arts. I earned the hat I wear. See my other stories here. Owner, a rather technically skilled guy, though he's terrible with people. We get along, for the most part. Government_guy, a master of the Finnish business and government handshake process. He has more connections than a neural network, but feels more like a slime mold the more you deal with him. Vendor_manager, I think he said the word hello in English, that was about it. Competent_coworker, the name says it all. While not working in a technical position, she has an amazing eye for details and sucks up knowledge like a sponge. She also is fluent in more languages than my university C++ teacher had fingers. Most of the external, government, managers and techs I deal with are, for the most part, interchangeable, so I will just number them as they come up if relevant. sh*Twizzle, so named by a friend of mine, and accurately. New guy hired by owner to take over the day-to-day business of running the company. Corruption should be his middle name. Kel, so government_guy, do you think I've demonstrated the security issues clearly enough? Government_guy, I think that covers the technical matters pretty well. Does anyone else have any questions? Both the government_agency 1_tech and vendor_manager wanted to look at a few repeats, with the tech specifically wanting to review some of the Wireshark caps, then both were satisfied. Government_guy, I think that about covers it. Kel, anything more? Kel, actually yes. First I'm wondering what timeframe vendor expects to be able to deal with this issue in, and if government_agency 1 will be involved in ensuring the matter gets resolved. Vendor_manager, well, after this I will go back to my team and see about reproducing your findings, and we'll let you know if we have any issues or how we plan to proceed. Government_agency 1_manager, government_agency 1_tech, now that you've seen this, what would you say is the actual risk and severity? Government_agency 1_tech, well, I was involved in the work leading up to Heartbleed, and since then I haven't seen anything that seemed actually serious after that, until today. This is as bad or worse than the risks created by Heartbleed. The only good thing is that it is an internal financial system, which limits the exposure. Kel, actually, about that, while our system is strictly internal, we actually looked through our records and had multiple times when technical support from vendor had instructed us to port forward traffic to the server 4% money percent or otherwise allow connections through our firewall. Also, while we require any external accountants or others using the system to use a VPN, I suspect that many other companies may not have taken that precaution, so there may be companies with money percent exposed on publicly reachable IPs. Vendor_manager, well, there wasn't any risk in the system until now. Kel, no, the risk has been there, you just didn't know about it until now because you never considered it a risk. For everyone here, I've also prepared a hard copy summary of the findings I have, in the same style I was used to making while I was a security consultant in the past. It includes CVSS scores and other information needed to assess the risks of these issues, and to hopefully help prioritize fixing them. At this point I can't recall if government_guy sent just me out of the room, or me and government_agency 1_tech, or they just switched to finish, but I recall clearly I was no longer part of the conversation here. To be honest, the rest of the meeting is mostly a blur beyond the demo, which I had rehearsed many times, and government_agency 1_tech comparing this to Heartbleed. Here I made what I consider my worst mistake in this entire matter. Government_guy wanted to continue to be the point of contact for my company for this matter, and I allowed that. I didn't insist that I be the point of contact, or even that I be included in all communications. I guess I just figured there are politics now, and he knows that a lot better than I do, as well as having the connections to get things this far. I believe it was on Wednesday of that week government_guy had me do a demo for government_agency 2_manager. Government_agency 2_manager seemed to lack both technical understanding and willingness to say much of anything in English. That demo wasn't as complete, no money moving accounts, but the person was far more interested in the banking secrets, keys, passwords, etc., than anything else. Government_agency 2_manager also left with a copy of my report. I think it was on Thursday of that same week government_guy waved me down to let me know that vendor had managed to reproduce and could now confirm all of my findings, and this was now a top priority to fix. So it went from demo on Monday to critical/top priority the same week, with confirmation. This is better results than I ever had convincing clients of security issues working as a consultant. If you want a happy ending, this is where to end the story. Sadly, this isn't the real end, but from here on out there is almost nothing technical to read. Some months go by, my employer tries to sell vendors some tools made by them, and my expertise, which they do not want. In addition, various other drama starts piling up on me at my employer. The story you are reading from here on overlaps the time period of many of my other tales, including the second half of new ERP system. Fast, cheap, good, pick none of three. The server room AC doesn't need to be fixed. No, you can't see the new server room, but it is ready. Which included the same vacation mentioned near the end of CR at P as a service. How not to provide 2FA to a multinational customer. The new office network is ready. Let you see the plans? No. Why would the server room need network cables? An attempted same-day whitey, layoffs done the day it is announced, no negotiations, with who was to be terminated already decided by management, that my employer wanted done in violation of the requirements and process specified in both my industry's collective agreement as well as Finnish labor law. This is the first point where I learned the company may be in serious financial trouble, and tons of other bullsh*t. While I was regularly asking government_guy for updates, I was not getting them very often. Mostly nothing had changed until one day. Note, please forgive me, my memory of exact wording fails me here, a combination of panic, rage, and already being stressed from all the sh*t above going on at the same time. I will write this as accurately as I can recall though. Also, from this point on, for the most part I'm getting everything secondhand, as I was no longer directly involved in any communications. Kel, so government_guy, have we heard anything more about vendor yet? Government_guy, actually yes. There have been some developments. Come to my room with me and I'll show you. So I go with government_guy to his office, and he pulls up some emails on his laptop. Government_guy, so, you see, it isn't quite what you would have been hoping for. Vendor is saying the issues are too complex to fix. You see, it turns out that %money% was acquired when they bought out another company, and there was no one left who actually worked on the software for %money% at vendor. So they've outsourced the maintenance for it, and the people they've outsourced it to say that either the vulnerability doesn't exist, or it cannot be fixed. Kel, well, that's bullsh*t. What do government_agency1 and government_agency2 have to say? Government_guy, inhaling sharply. Well, there it seems we have a challenge. It seems they have decided to side with vendor on this one, and I've been told by vendor, government_agency1, and government_agency2 all together that because the issue cannot be fixed, government_agency1 decided that the entire matter will been classified and considered a threat to national financial security. And it is more complicated, because they've decided that attacking the system is so complex, that they will all give your name to KRP. The closest US equivalent is probably the FBI, with statements from each of them that they believe you must be responsible if this vulnerability gets used at any point, because no one else has the ability to break this security. Kel, what the FSCK? Government_guy, it's okay though, you don't need to worry. As long as you are here working with us you will be fine, and we even got that in writing, let me show you. Goes to his email. Okay, I know you don't read Finnish, but here you can see this is from high-ranking person in an appointed position, with government_agency2. It says we understand the situation, and should anything leak government_agency2 will state they do not believe my employer or their people are responsible. I actually got this translated and confirmed accurate by a trusted third party later. Kel, well, that is something. Can you forward that to me so I have it for my records? This is really serious, and I want a copy of it just in case. Government_guy forwards that part of the email to me, stripping out the rest of the mail and chain. It seemed to be part of an at least 20 email long chain. I wish he hadn't stripped it, but with Finnish privacy laws I could not go and get it myself out of the mail server, even though I technically would be able to, and would be able to without even leaving any trace on the server itself with my knowledge. I knew that at least, having that part, I would be able to give enough evidence to find the email again, and the mail server was specifically set to cryptographically timestamp and sign every email it sent from our internal addresses, so I had something resembling a forensic record. Honestly, what I wish I did was create a full database dump of the mail server right after this, and store it, just in case, so I'd have something with a copy of that data, even if it is later deleted. I couldn't touch it, but knowing it still existed would be a good thing. After that, I've actually learned of several crimes that had been committed around this time by members of the company management that would have actually been contained within that backup had I made one. Government_guy, sure, though what happened to get us that wasn't very nice. As you know, we still weren't paying vendor the maintenance fees 4% money%. Vendor decided to push the issue, and government_agency2 was afraid that, if this went to court, we would be allowed to explain to the court just why we stopped paying those fees, and it would become a matter of public record. Of course, if it was part of a court record, others would find out, so, government_agency2 forced my employer, to pay all the fees vendor said we owed, and we must continue to pay without challenging them. Kel, alright, thank you for informing me of this at least. Checks phone and sees he got the email. I got the email, so I guess I'll talk to you later. Government_guy, no problem, don't worry Kel, we'll get the next one that comes around. Just you wait. After I left government_guy, I was furiously angry, and had decided I would get a coffee, and go out to the balcony to try to cool down, literally and figuratively, when I run into owner at the coffee machine. Kel, owner, do you know about what is going on with vendor and government_agencies? Owner, yeah, it isn't what I hoped for, but that matter is over now. Kel, over? Over? Did you know that they decided if anything happened to any of the customers of %money %, I would be the one whose name would be given over to the police, with statements from everyone involved that I was the only person who could exploit this? Owner, yes, but government_agency 1 doesn't think there is any real risk anyone else can figure out how to attack the system, so it'll be okay. Kel, what the FSCK? It's a fsking plain text system managing millions of euros. Half the people working in this company could probably break into it in a matter of a few weeks' time. Hell, you could probably figure out how to break into it in a day or two with what you know. Do you really think this is okay? Owner, meekly, well, we just have to trust government_guy, he knows what he is doing. I'm sure it'll be okay. At this point I honestly can't recall what I said as I stormed off, and rather than heading to the balcony, I just left for the day. When I got to the car I called my wife and, in between ranting to her, told her what had just happened. Here she gave me the best advice in this entire mess. Have you contacted the union about this yet? You really should, this is what they are there for. Now, it has come up before that I was the company shop steward / lobotomismes / union man. Between the events here and others, I ended up with, I am sure, one hell of a reputation at the union. I also can say that they are the best support and assistance I have received from anyone outside of those I consider my own family. When things go bad, they are there, and if you are in Finland and not a member of a union, I strongly recommend joining the union that is responsible for the collective agreement in the industry you are in. So I contact the union and explain I absolutely need to speak with one or more lawyers ASAP, specifically lawyers who have expertise covering matters related to national security / cybersecurity and classified information handling, as well as complex financial matters. If I recall correctly, they got back to me within an hour and asked if a time within a week would work for me, and I assure them it will. As far as I was concerned, everything on my schedule was less important than this. While I will not share much about what happened at the union with the lawyers, I will list the summary of what I learned, and the lawyers the union arranged included externals who were not normally working for my union, and they arranged specifically for this matter. There were 3 people other than me in the room, including an expert specifically on classified matters and a finance and fraud expert. The union really came through. Agency 1, which decided the matter should be classified, has no legal power to classify matters without getting a court order. Agency 2, which ordered my employer to resume paying vendor in hopes of avoiding the matter going to court, and my employer being allowed to state why the software was not fit for purpose, would have no legal power to do so, and most likely violated Finnish law by doing so. While it is possible other agencies or government organizations have been involved I was unaware of, and the matter may indeed be properly classified, legally, I am not bound to that classification because I have never been a part of the Finnish military, and did not work with classified materials as part of the military. I have not been directly served a gag order by a Finnish court. While I have had 2 different levels of project-specific security clearance / background investigations done by SUPO when I was a consultant, those only apply to a specific project and company, and would not apply with vendor as I never went through that legal process with vendor. At that time, my employer actually lacked the ability to seek security clearances for myself or other employees, so nothing we were working on could be classified by nature of being created in a cleared environment, and I never consented to the classification myself, which I would have to do since I was behind the discovery myself, and none of the others above applied. The threat of a breach is real, and the agencies and vendor in question would most likely report me to the police as threatened simply as a damage control and PR mechanism. I should be prepared for the police to show up, possibly as a no-knock situation, at any time until this is all resolved. As the matter is not classified for me, even if it is properly classified, there is nothing that legally prevents me from going public with everything I know at almost any time except possibly the NDA within my employment contract, which probably would not apply as my employer never realized specific financial gain from this, and specific orders given by my superior. But those could only cover my employer itself, not vendor. I thank the lawyers profusely. They give me their cards, and make it clear should the police show up or I otherwise need them. All I need to do is contact the union or contact them directly anytime, and they will organize a proper response. The union also makes it clear that as far as they are concerned, this is a situation that arose due to my employment, and they will cover anything that happens, and I get to know a few people there very well, to the point that when I contact the union, I'm greeted by name as often as not. The lawyers are also left a copy of the report in a sealed envelope to be opened in case it is needed / if something happens, since based on the meeting, it could be shared. Just in case everyone decides at the same time to cover it up and turn against me. A short time after that, the owner of my company goes through another of his withdrawal cycles and brings in a new person to run the place as CEO. While I have made a practice of giving people accurate names based on their role, the only name I can find myself willing to give him is sh*Twizel. So sh*Twizel he shall be from here on. sh*Twizel makes a point of wanting to meet with all the employees over his first 2 weeks, and quickly takes %competent_coworker% as a personal assistant. I believe it was the second day he was there I was asked by %competent_coworker% to meet with him in the afternoon, and one subject that came up was vendor and %money%. sh*Twizel let me know he actually knows the CEO of vendor and plans to see what he can get done about %money%, and hopefully he can sell my employer's products and services to all of vendor's customers or vendor itself as part of this. I'm a little confused just how he plans to do that, but clearly he's got a plan. A few weeks later, government_guy has a meeting in his room with me and sh*Twizel. The situation with vendor is the subject of discussion, and there are developments. First of all, I am told that the company lawyers have now gone over what has happened and my employer has discovered that Agency 1 can't legally classify anything by themselves, so my company, as a company, is free to do whatever they want and ignore Agency 1. They've also discovered that while they have resumed paying vendor, Agency 2 had no authority to force them to do so, and this they are absolutely giddy about. Finally, they haven't given up on securing a business deal with vendor, and have decided to apply a little pressure. They've arranged for a sales demo to a media organization of some of my employer's software, and how it can be used to audit encrypted communications. I am told by sh*Twizel to go for this demo, and to ensure that the communications I am demoing being audited are actually %money%. The demo will be done for both a reporter and someone in the media company's IT security team who can understand and verify my claims. The only purpose though is to get me in the room with a reporter and explaining the security holes and demonstrating them so the media can make a story about it, and the reason it is being done under the cover of a sales demo is so that if one of the agencies involved gets wind of it, we can argue that the agencies can't expect employer to stop selling our products simply because they can be used for securing insecure communications. I then am sent to talk to the same sales_drone from my CR at P as a service tail, who will be the one responsible for the meeting. He lets me know he's already been in contact with the reporter, and will let me know a bit later that week when the meeting is actually scheduled to occur. Friday afternoon comes around and I go to sales_drone and ask what is going on, and he says that the demo that government_guy and sh*Twizel wanted to include me in has now already happened, and it was both a complete waste of his time, as they weren't interested in any of my employer's products. Seems all they wanted to talk about was %money% from vendor, and it was a good thing I knew nothing about it, because the IT guy at the meeting is someone I know. He's the cousin of vendor_manager, so it certainly would have gotten back to vendor we were talking about them behind their back and hurt my reputation. Sales_drone actually ended up leaving the company about a month later, turns out he'd been actively looking to work elsewhere since sh*Twizzle became CEO. So at this point, that looks like a dead end. Several months go by, and while I have a ton on my plate, I am regularly chatting with government_guy, and one day vendor comes up. Government_guy, oh yeah, everything is fixed now. Kel, what do you mean? Government_guy, yeah, vendor said that all their users now have secure versions of the software, so the issue is over with, and we don't have to worry anymore. Kel, bullsh*T, we are a user, and we don't have a new version of the software or any fixes. Government_guy confused, but sh*Twizzle said it was fixed, let's go ask him. We go to sh*Twizzle. sh*Twizzle, what's up, Kel? Kel, government_guy just told me vendor said everything with %money% is fixed. sh*Twizzle, yeah, my friend vendor_CEO said it's all done, and all the customers now have fixed software, so there's no need to worry about it. Kel, we don't have any new software. sh*Twizzle, yes we do, I'm sure of it. Vendor_CEO said so. Kel, I'm sure I haven't let anyone update the software, or been contacted to do any updates, it can't just update itself. sh*Twizzle, well double check your findings, and let me know if it isn't fixed, consider this your top priority. Kel, will do. Of course, I report back in 5 minutes that our copy of %money% isn't fixed as the version hasn't changed, and no one has even touched the server in months. Not good enough, go and re-exploit it all. So I work until, 2 or 3 a.m. to re-verify everything by hand. Then I send email to sh*Twizzle before heading home confirming that, yes, all the issues I found are still present in the copy of %money% running in our environment, and at no point has IT been informed about updates to the software being available. I state specifically what version we are running, and by the time I am back at the office the next day, sh*Twizzle has sent that on to his friend the vendor_CEO, who has replied that yes, that is the version with all the fixes, we are running the latest, blah blah blah. sh*Twizzle is very annoyed himself that his friend vendor_CEO would lie about that, and says he'll see what he can do now that he's clearly ignoring the evidence in front of him, and lying to him directly. 1 month later, I get a call in the evening phone, a number I do not know. They inform me that they work for a media company and are preparing a story on %money% from vendor. They say they have in front of them a very damning report written by me about security holes present inside %money%. Being cautious, I play dumb and say I'm not sure what report they are talking about. I have done a lot of security research in my life and written probably 100 vulnerability reports, but I'd be quite willing to speak on background about the possible impacts and natures of security vulnerabilities. As the call goes on, it becomes blatantly clear this person does indeed have at least a partial copy of my report, though from what I can tell, they are reading from a Finnish translation of mine and translating terms back to English, so it wasn't the original version of the report I wrote. This person ends up, I suspect, rather frustrated as I refuse to specifically confirm anything and only talk hypotheticals, but the call goes on for some time with yes, if a financial software program would do something such as send the private keys and username password combinations to users in a plain text communication, then in theory an attacker would be able to take those keys and use a different program or write their own program to allow them to perform fraudulent transactions long after they no longer have access to the financial software. The only way to prevent that would be changing the keys and the passwords at the bank. The next day I contacted CERT because this matter now calls for CVE numbers. I give them the incident reference numbers I have from the agencies involved in this matter, and inform them that I now believe that these vulnerabilities are now in the hands of someone in the media and a story may be coming out soon. The person I deal with from CERT is already aware of the matter and my involvement with it. They inform me that as far as they are aware, progress has been made and all but one of the vulnerabilities already have a resolution in a new version of the software. Great. I inform CERT that the vendor has not been in communication with me, and can they please contact the vendor and try to pressure them to provide me these updated copies of the software so I can review them myself. I am assured they will, but it isn't anything to worry about now at least. They get back to me later in the evening with CVE numbers to use, but insist on giving me only 2 CVE numbers, instead of 1 for each unique vulnerability demonstrated in the software. There is 1 CVE number for all the fixed issues, and 1 CVE number for the one remaining vulnerability. I get to work preparing my own publication on the matter for release as soon as I have the CVE numbers. It is mostly a highly censored version of the executive summaries for the vulnerabilities I had in my previous report. The next week I get a call from a number I do not recognize as I am coming back from lunch. It's the new product manager from vendor. Seems the old one left the company and left them very out of the loop and who was involved with what, and yes, all the security issues are fixed except the plain text communications, which there is a workaround for. This I am curious about, and ask them to please send me a copy of the software, or a link to download it as soon as possible. I'm told that it is very complex to set up, so instead of that they propose coming to my employer the next week to install the software. I try to get them to give me a copy directly, but they insist that it is too complex for me to do, not fsking likely, and they'll see me next week, unless that time does not work for me, in which case they'll see me the week after. I assure them I will make the date and time next week they proposed work. Sorry for breaking it here, part 5 is almost completely written, but I'm already over Reddit's hard post length limit with what additional I have written included. This part is already almost 29k/40k in length. You can read the finale here.